Bro, Mauricio Sulaiman responded to Devin Haney today, ladies and gentlemen, on Twitter. Responded to what Devin Haney had to say, bringing up the WBC's clean boxing program. Getting into a back and forth with Ryan Garcia. You had some random dude defend Ryan Garcia. And Devin Haney responded to that dude and said, I was a WBC champion for years and never been tested once, which absolutely makes the WBC look bad. Shows another flaw in their sanctioning body due to the fact that they have the WBC clean boxing program that is supposed to have random drug testing for their champion and top 15 rated fighters within the WBC rankings. You have to enroll and be subject to random drug testing. Yet, it differs from every fighter. You may be a fighter who doesn't get drug tested from 2019 to 2023 to 2024, like Devin Haney. Or you might be a fighter like Ryan Garcia, who claims that he just got drug tested 2 days ago. Him and Devin Haney get into this back and forth. Ryan Garcia reacts to Shakur Stevenson, and Shakur Stevenson wants the stipulations now. And Ryan Garcia says, I just got drug tested yesterday. What a coincidence. So the WBC president, of course, takes a hit from this. He sees what everybody has to say around the boxing world, and he responds. On Twitter, he says, hello, champion, responding to Devin Haney. Why are you involving your problems with the WBC? Of course, you had multiple VADA testing. Of course, you had multiple VADA testing. And Devin Haney responds, my problems aren't with the WBC. This is knowledge to me that all my VADA testings were being uploaded to the WBC, in which all my VADA testing were being paid out of pocket by me to try to change the sport of boxing and make it much safer. Ryan is running from the fact that VADA is the most stringent testing, especially year-round testing. Devin Haney goes and says, I understand when I fought in a typical 8 to 10 week period, my tests were being uploaded, but I'm talking about the span of a 365 program. So Devin Haney understands that Ryan Garcia, of course, is under the WBC clean boxing program. But this dude says, I wasn't drug tested at all through the WBC clean boxing program. Of course, yes, from the 8 to 10 week period leading up to fights, yes, he was drug tested by the WBC clean boxing program. But randomly from a 365 span, no, he wasn't. And Mauricio Sulaiman doesn't even really respond to what Devin Haney actually says right there. He doesn't. This is how he responds. He says, the WBC clean boxing program began over 10 years ago, which we already know. Unique program in the world and is administered by VADA testing. All champions and top 15 rated must enroll and are subject to random testings, have mandated testings or specific cases and contracted testings by promoters for fights. At real, Devin Haney has been tested more than 70 times, always negative results. Ladies and gentlemen, Mauricio Sulaiman, he's saying that he's been tested over 70 times and has been negative every time. Devin Haney goes to Twitter and says 70 times. Yet none of those were random 365 drug tests. That's what Devin Haney is claiming. That's why he wants Ryan Garcia to undergo the same type of drug testing that he has if he wants to have that fight. Because he understands how the WBC clean boxing program drug testing works. He never got drug tested, ladies and gentlemen. Unless he was paying out of pocket. Or unless it was, of course, contracted before every single fight. Leading up to the fight. After the fight. Drug tested. Of course. But my goodness, bro. How can something like this happen in the sport of boxing, bro? And Mauricio Sulaiman goes to Twitter and actually has a chance to go back and forth with Devin Haney, and he doesn't even do that. Devin Haney straight up said, I understand when I thought in a typical 8 to 10 week period my tests were being uploaded, but I'm talking about the span of a 365 program. And Mauricio Sulaiman has nothing to combat that, but just bring up the specific details that we already know about the clean boxing program and say that he's been tested over 70 times. Bruh. This is absolutely diabolical, dude. I mean, fools got to get on their P's and Q's, man. The WBC just be overdoing it sometimes, bro. So many flaws. The WBC clean boxing program, drug testing. If they're doing things like that, bro, how do we know if every fighter is clean in the sport of boxing? How do we know that every fighter is not cycling off and on off of drugs if they ain't going through stringent testing? Devin Haney's pointing out the fact that he's not mad at the WBC, but he's pointing at the fact that he knows what's up with the system that Ryan Garcia has. He's been through it himself. There's a reason why he's asking for drug testing. Now, this could be implying something bad towards Devin Haney's side. I'm not going to lie. Right? You're going to have your suspicions about Ryan Garcia's drug testing at the WBC. Devin Haney says, hey, I wasn't drug tested. But let me know what you guys think, man. It's some crazy stuff going down in the sport of boxing. Mauricio Sulaiman responds to Devin Haney, and Devin Haney straight up telling him, bro, y'all tripping. Mauricio Sulaiman trying to take credit for everything, bro. Let me know what you guys think, though. I'm out.